Hello and welcome. As you can see, today we are finally going over the crew Motorfest, and in today's video I'm going to give you my honest experience with the first hour of gameplay in this game. So the crew Motorfest, once you finally load in after about a minute of waiting, you're going to be greeted with the typical setup screen. So once you fill that out, you're then going to move on to difficulty, whether you want amateur, intermediate or expert. My suggestion to you, just click intermediate and move on. Then you can finally just pick and choose which settings you want on and off. Then next up you have the choice. Now I had the option of importing my collection of whopping 17 vehicles or starting from fresh. So since I was starting from scratch regardless, that was the option I went for. Now when you load into a crew, you're going to be greeted with a cutscene that I'm sure you have seen many a times. Then you get the most generic looking people for your character choice, but you can then go in and customize them. I was too tired to even do that, so I just picked the first person and moved on. Now you then jump into the A80 Supra, the Mark IV Supra, and this is about 6 minutes into your gameplay, so it takes about 6 minutes to actually just start off playing the game. Now something that's really gonna catch you off guard, the handling. I can confirm, unlike the crew 2, the handling is so different and it's actually gonna take you a very long time to get the hang of it. Some people may pick it up like this, but others like myself, I really struggled. By the time the event was almost finished or the trial of the Supra was almost done, I was still trying to learn how to handle that vehicle. Then they chuck you into a Ford Bronco and they say, you know what, go over some hills, do some off-roading, try it out. And honestly, it's extremely floaty. The car just bobs all over the place and sometimes it's a bit difficult to handle, but you get the grasp of it. Then we head into the Formula cars. This was honestly my favorite part, well, second favorite part still coming up of this whole prologue session, because you drive this extremely fast F1 style vehicle, then you perform a Max Verstappen style pit stop. The pit stop was so fast, the crew members didn't even touch the car and the car is ready to go out. So after you do that, head on over into a Shelby Cobra. This is honestly where you can really tell the difference between a modern car and a classic car and how each car handles completely differently. Because with the AC Cobra, it was a bit rough. That's all I'm gonna say. Then for the last thing in prologue, they set you into a Lamborghini, and this had to be hands down my favorite part. In the first experience, this had to be it. Then they take you and they show you your options between a first car. We have the BMW Z4, we have the Honda S2000 and a convertible Ford Mustang, which means we have a convertible Toyota Supra, we have a heavily overpriced 2000 sports car, and we have a topless crowd killer. So me being me, I decided to go with the Supra. So jumped into this very stylish, very red BMW Z4, and then we finally get to pick our first playlist. And honestly, the choices are really good, but for some reason, don't ask myself, I picked the 911 Legacy. And because you just load straight out of the hub, well, you're then greeted with the open world. And me being lazy, I just said, you know what, which event is closest? So we ended up doing the tour. So this is now a playlist that's gonna take you around Hawaii and really immerse you into all of the details that the developers have gone through to create this amazing island. So because I knew I was gonna be getting immersed in the island, I decided to check out the map. You can just see all of the players moving. Keep in mind, this was 1 minute after midnight on launch day, so yes, there were a ton of players. So then after being lost for a little bit, I finally found where the first event was, and it is a 4GT around the Motorfest circuit. Now before you start the events, you can jump into difficulty settings, and this is where now you can pick, choose and refuse whichever settings you want and really tailor it to your liking. So the first event with the 4GT was a lot of fun. Getting to grips with this absolute beast of a supercar was a whole lot of fun, and to be honest with you, the AI was a bit challenging, and it just made the whole experience a lot better because it kept you on your toes. However, if you do see me bumping into walls, just ignore it. I'm still trying to get the handling model of this game because, as I said, every car is different, so you never know what to expect. And I also think that's a bit of an issue with the playlist. They give you a chance to jump into a vehicle that isn't yours. They just give you one for the time being. They just lend you the car, and by the time you finally understand how the car drives, you have to give it back. So there's no standard grade to say, okay, this is how the handling happens, this is how the handling works, this is what you need to understand, this is what you need to do. That's not the case. And that honestly is one of the biggest things that threw me off with this entire gameplay, was the fact that you just kept getting swapped in and out of cars. Then we finally got to experience real freedom. Now I use my BMW Z4, and after just going all over the place, we finally made it to our second event, and this was such a pain of an event. You see this VW bus that is being shortened is the worst handling car in the crew Motorfest. I'm gonna say it now. I only played the game for an hour, and I can tell you the utter hatred that I have for this VW bus. If you are able to control this bus, I will come up and shake your hand. I don't know what I'll do, because this VW bus, the car is dog tired. The car is extremely slow. So coming down the hill, I bumped into a beetle, which then sent me into a tree, which then caused me to lose speed. So I hit nitrous, and then the vehicle just did this. We were not off to a good start, because when I say you can't counter steer or correct the vehicle, it just doesn't want to do it. If you begin to slide, for example, you're sliding out right, and you try to pull it and correct it, the car just loses all sense. It doesn't understand what inputs to follow, and it just does its own thing. So that is extremely tricky. Then when it comes to braking and even just turning, you can be full lock and the vehicle, this bus, is gonna go into a wall. I don't know why. And now even if you see, we landed off the jump, the vehicle began to slide, try to correct it, slow down everything, and the amount of time it takes to correct and actually fix what the bus is doing is so long, and it's just utterly painful. So then we restarted the event again for the third time. You know, third time's a charm. And honestly, this moment, yeah, I almost ended the entire recording. I almost went to bed. With this bus full lock, somehow it still went straight into a wall. Don't ask me how it did that, but this bus really just doesn't listen, or by the time it does listen, it starts getting like overwhelmed, and then you end up crashing. The bus is not fun at all, and considering the fact that this was one of the longest events that you participate in early game, with it being easily over 7 minutes, yeah, it's a real pain. Then what I do appreciate was the fact that instead of just giving you fast travel out the gate, you have to complete the playlist in order to finally unlock fast travel. They want you to experience all of the map. So you're going to be driving a lot, in between events. So this is really now your chance. So now this is where picking your first car makes a difference. Whichever car you want to drive the most, or have the most seat, or to have the most time behind the wheel of, this is where you're gonna do it. Now heading on over to the third event. This was honestly a beautiful drive, and on my travel from the VW bus event to the next one, I was actually enjoying this curvy road with a Ford Bronco, and the Bronco was actually keeping up with the Z4 quite well, because the Z4 was a lot slidier than the Ford Bronco, and the Ford Bronco honestly just kept up with me. And this is what I love about the Crew game, the Crew franchise. I don't know who that person is, but we were just driving together, cruising along together, and just straight out vibing. Now this is something that I think the Crew needs to implement or steal the idea from Forza, is if you're doing a challenge like the one I'm doing right now, ghost traffic or ghost myself, because now I need to go in the bullseyes, but if there's a bus in the target, it kind of makes the whole thing a bit difficult. So anyway, after traveling on an absolutely stunning road, and then I pulled off the best slide I've ever done in my life. It would have been better if I actually made it through the gates instead of smashing through the barriers, but regardless, we made it to the third event. And they said, you know what, you're going through the game a bit too easy, don't you want to up your difficulty? So I thought, you know what, let's up it just by one and see how it is. Then they threw me into the BMW Z4, the same car I've been driving, so I knew, okay, I actually know how this vehicle handles. And because of that, the car was an absolute blast. This race was so much fun, it just kept me on my toes, and it was just it was so much fun to experience. Then I came up to one corner, handbrake turn because I was coming too fast. Then the AI hit me and sort of pit maneuvered me, went off circuit. Regardless, anyway, you move on, you keep driving, and honestly, it's a stunning event. The map on this game is beautiful, but then we come back to the issue of handling. If we look at this scene here, okay, I was losing a bit of control, then the BM started to slide, so I let out of it to try and correct it, and it takes so long for it to come to the party to actually be like, oh, okay, wait, you don't want to slide, that you lose so much ground. I lost a few positions because the BM just wasn't listening. Then it happened again. Like, if we look at this, it started sliding, I corrected, it started sliding the other way, then I had to slow down and just stop the slide, because even if you're traveling at a low speed, the vehicle is still gonna slide out. So it's not really the best of handling, but I think over time, or just with better upgrades on these vehicles, the handling is gonna improve tenfold. So we just gotta give it time, because we are driving around in what I think is a stock BM, so we have to keep that in mind before we start nitpicking and really going at the handling model. But each car feels absolutely unique, and what I like about this playlist, the main goal, just finish the event. Doesn't matter where you finish, as long as you finish it, that's all that matters. So that was really about all of my hour experience with the Crew Motorfest. So Crew Motorfest, first experience, the handling is going to be the biggest shocker to you, I can tell you that now. The vehicle models look really good, the island absolutely insane. So to explore this map is just beautiful. However, once you finally get the handling down, then you're good to go. So with all this being said, hope you guys still going to enjoy this video, my first experience with the Crew Motorfest. And if you want to see more videos, because I'm going to start making guides, tutorials, car reviews, customization videos, all that good stuff. If you're interested in that, well, hit that subscribe button, and I'll see you guys in the next one. Peace.